The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Go Cowboys! This is Talkin Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
Handoff, Elliott plowing to the goal line. Barry, sacked by Lord. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
And now your hosts, Isaiah Stanback, Heckma Harrison, Rob Phillips, and Kyle Yeomans.
It is another off-season edition of a TCT, Talkin Cowboys Tuesday, here from the Star in Frisco in the SWBC studios, as always presented by Tostitos, our favorite chip and our favorite dip of Talkin Cowboys. Welcome in, everybody. Glad you're with us. Rob Phillips, Heckma Harrison, Isaiah Stanback,
Hello.
Kyle Yeomans.
Good night, mate.
Gentlemen,
I like that.
Free agency is up and running. The Cowboys are no longer the only team in the NFL. They were the last team in the NFL to sign an outside free agent, but they are no longer the only team in the NFL without an outside free agent. We'll talk about some of their moves here and there, and then maybe some of the frustration that entails free agency in Frisco this time of year. But, gentlemen, how was your weekend?
It's beautiful. It's wonderful.
Beautiful weekend. Somebody here celebrated a birthday.
A birthday. B-U-R-F, huh? Birth.
Yeah, that was me.
28 years old. Heckma Harrison.
Hey.
28. What a 28
What a Woody.
time. Oh, man. It was, yeah, man. Thank you, guys.
Oh, there's like happy birthday in the background.
Is that what it is? Is it the Stevie Wonder version?
It doesn't sound like the Stevie
No,
Wonder version.
come on, man. Give me the Stevie version. No, it was awesome, man. Got an opportunity to go to one of my favorite restaurants yesterday during the storm. So great parenting on my part.
Yeah.
Having a marg in the middle of a windstorm.
That wasn't no windstorm. That was not a windstorm.
No, it wasn't.
There
It
were
was-
tornadoes at touchdown
But
yesterday.
see, at first, like, that's,
Real.
our meteorologists around here are serious, right?
Oh,
They
yeah.
are
Absolutely.
next level.
And some of them, once a storm like that takes over and you're in the wrong place, they will definitely let you know to take cover. And thank God for those guys. So
Appreciate that.
Everybody looking at the Doppler yesterday. But man, it was awesome.
The inner Zay is like a meteorologist. I don't know if you guys knew that.
Say that again.
My inner Zay
Inner
is a
Zay?
meteorologist.
Did you just
Really?
reference yourself
There's
as
the inside.
Zay?
He's inside my heart.
That's weird.
Inside my heart.
This is
It's a
getting
little
good.
Isaiah. So it's a little Zay. I've always wanted to be a meteorologist.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're going to look at me crazy. I want to chase a storm from a distance.
Oh, I'll do it with you. I'll
Bet.
chase storms.
Bet.
I do it all the time.
But
I love it.
I put
You
the,
do
I put
it
the-
all the time.
Yeah.
I put the parentheses from
Yeah.
a distance.
Yeah.
From a distance. I don't want to be the guy like in there holding a freaking little paper airplane
Like
in the
from
middle talking
Twister.
about go. Just go.
Get closer.
You don't be Helen Hunt.
No, I don't want to be that.
No, none of that
The
stuff.
guy on one of the stations the other day got in front of me. He's like, okay, it's heading this way. I'm just like, so you got in front of the tornado.
Did you guys see the guy who got
Really
the truck?
smart.
He was in a truck on the highway yesterday.
Yeah.
And the tornado came through,
I
knocked
wanna
him
see that
over.
guy.
Dude, did you see? It
Yeah.
flipped him over like once or twice. He kept going.
I don't think it's a truck that we can mention, but boy, let me
boy,
tell you.
listen here.
My God, there's a commercial.
It was probably a
somewhere in there.
Ford. It was a Ford.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah,
Ford.
it looked like a Ford.
Yeah,
I thought it was a
Super
Ford
Crew.
truck.
Took off.
Did you see
Yeah.
that, Rafi?
I did not.
built like a
It
tank.
flipped this dude over once or twice, and then he just kept driving like it was nothing.
It circled him on his
Yeah.
door,
Like,
actually sideways,
flipped
and then
him.
it flipped him back to his four wheels, and then he drove out of it.
Kyle, was that you?
Oh yeah, it was me. Just don't go look at my truck in the parking garage at the moment. In all seriousness, for those that were affected by the storm over this past weekend, hope you
seriously.
stay safe.
Yeah, there's some scary moments.
It's
out there.
definitely scary. It's fun to mess around sometimes, but
As long as
at the
everybody's
same
okay.
time, yeah, you got to make sure everybody's good to go. Let's talk some Cowboys. We're about 5 minutes into the show. That's about right. Rob, what?
We got an hour.
Yeah, we got a full hour to hit here.
A lot to address.
What do you want to talk about first? You want to talk about the new additions for this Dallas Cowboys team? Or, hey, how about the fact that Jaron Kearse is back with the Dallas Cowboys heading into 2022?
It's crazy because it's been a week, and the last time we did this, the Randy Gregory stuff was just breaking.
Just happened.
That he was headed to Denver and not Dallas. So we can get into that. But, yeah, the most recent stuff that happened as of Monday, Jaron Kearse is back. 2-year deal, worth $10-ish million. That took longer than I think the Cowboys thought it might. I mean, look, they try to get their top guys done first, and they wanted to get that done last week. Took a little longer. My guess is that he was looking around, seeing what else was out there, but wanted to be back, and he's back. Dalton Schultz signs his franchise tag. We'll see if that turns into a long-term deal and a more palatable cap figure by the time this thing's done in mid-July.
And just to clarify on that, that's just basically a formality. Nothing changes from what we had said earlier. They can still go and restructure and build that out long-term, right?
Yeah, well, if he stays on the $11 million, it's the $11 million, and they have to slot for that. And it just means probably that he's not going to hold out or something like that. Once the offseason the offseason program starts in a few weeks, he'll be there. There won't be any issues with that. So that's good. But yeah, a lot going on, man, and honestly, a lot for them still left to do. They're not done filling holes and trying to create some competition before the draft goes.
And it kind of feels that way to this point. We're starting to see the needs addressed. However, it's not anything exciting. I mean, you're not looking at it and you're not saying, oh, outside of maybe Jaron Kearse. Kearse, I'm excited the fact that he's back, and we'll talk about that more in depth here in a second. But it feels like this is the part of the year where you're trying to fill those holes. That way, when the draft does come around in April, you kind of can go any direction based on what your board lies, wherever that lies in April.
Well, I think Stephen Jones has been letting you know the whole time what the priority was going to be, and that's re-signing the guys that they deemed to be priority. And number one on all of our wish lists, don't want to speak for anyone, was getting Jaron Kearse signed. Some of these other things that have come down the pipe, like Lael Collins, and I'm sure we're going to get into that.
Yep.
But all of these other things that have happened, I think, has just been a byproduct of just other teams coming in at a higher number, or the same, or whatever it is that happened to get Randy Gregory away from Dallas. But really happy to see Kearse back on. I think he is going to be a big part of Dan Quinn's system. I'm excited to see him 2 years in to the system. That way, I mean, leading tackler for our defense, one of the key leaders, the guy that calls the plays out on the field, runs that big nickel. He's even, goes linebacker, safety, all of those things, man. He's just a guy that I think his talent was there. I was looking for a bigger deal as long as it took us to get the deal. So I thought there was going to be a blockbuster deal to come down. But obviously the deal that they got done was beneficial to the Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm happy with their offseason so far, honestly. I think that they're doing a good job. I think they're getting value. I think they're getting the guys back that were key players for the run that they had last year. Obviously, their intention is to try to build on that and obviously go further than they did. But I think we're all in agreement that Kearse was a very, very intricate role player for them. He had a huge impact. Obviously, lost a couple other guys that we figured were kind of not going to be back around these parts. But I think I'm excited whenever we get into this about James Washington and Fowler. I think that you're really seeing what direction this organization is going in, and it's all about versatility and value. It's all about versatility and value. Everybody that they're grabbing right now does more than just one position.
Yeah, and it's cost effective.
Yeah.
These deals are cost effective, and to me, it kind of. We warned everybody, at least I did for sure.
Everybody did.
This is what was going to happen, and it plays out every year the same way. It's like a I don't know. It's like a sitcom with the formula, where they sign Jake McQuaid back the first day, and everybody's like, "Oh my God,
Super Bowl!
That's the top priority."
Noah Brown.
It's like no, they're re-signing guys as the deals get done, okay, and they're going to try to re-sign their top guys, like we just said, Michael Gallup, Jaron Kearse, Malik Hooker, guys that they targeted to want to bring back. And then once you get to the end of the first week, that's usually when they start, okay, it's maybe not the second wave of free agency, but that first wave has started to settle a little bit. The market has started to settle a little bit, and that's when every year they do this. They find a guy or two that fits a role, fits a need, does not preclude them from taking a player in the draft at that position, but helps, works under the salary cap. And Dante Fowler and James Washington certainly fit that at wide receiver and defensive end. And my understanding is, and we can get into Randy and what happened there, but with the money that they had reserved to sign Randy, under the cap, they have fit Dante Fowler, Dorrance Armstrong is back, Leighton Vander Esch is back, and James Washington is here. That's what they did with that money. So it depends on how you look at it. If you're a fan, maybe you don't like that. Maybe you want bigger splashes, and I understand that. I think maybe there's more of a balance that they can strike in the way they approach free agency. But they're trying to go for quantity, and they have a lot of holes to fill, and that's what they've tried to do so far.
So outside of Randy Gregory and his loss on the defensive side of the football, you just mentioned the names like Malik Hooker, Jaron Kearse, Leighton Vander Esch, Dorrance Armstrong. You feel like they're running it back from a defensive standpoint. Now, Dante Fowler Jr. is not a Randy Gregory replacement. Let's get that straight right now. That is not the expectation for Dante Fowler Jr. If he turns into 2019 Dante Fowler Jr., like he was with the Rams, and he comes up and he has double-digit sacks, then maybe we can talk about it. But he hasn't been that guy the last 2 years, so it's a little unfair to have that kind of expectation. But do you feel good about the Cowboys running back this offseason, or running back the defense from this past season? At least on that side of the ball, it looks like you're very similar outside of Randy Gregory not being there.
I think they're on the right pace, on the right page, and on the right pace. I think they need to get a big boy in the middle still. I think that's a gaping hole that they didn't fill. I was hopeful that they would have got big boy from Philly, even though I know he probably despises the Cowboys.
Cox?
Yeah, Big Fletcher. I thought they were going to.
He's probably going to re-sign with Philly anyways.
He did.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He did. But I was hopeful that they would have grabbed him. I thought they might have had an opportunity to steal somebody who's a proven dog in this league at that position, and then really just shore it up. So there's no more question marks at that position. I don't, to my knowledge, I don't really think that we've re-signed anybody at that particular position or brought anybody in
at
like D-tackle.
D-tackle.
No.
Carlos Watkins is still a free agent.
So I think we still need to address that. I don't know what the salary cap situation is as we stand today. You guys know who I want to bring in still at that next level. I think
Bobby Wagner.
Yes,
we can talk about him now.
And I think they would too, but I just don't.
The number.
Yeah, I think it's the number probably.
Once I saw Vaughn sign his deal, I was like, man, this is really probably going to take Bobby Wagner out of contention for us. But I'm not opposed to the. I don't even want to use the run it back in this situation with this defense, because I just feel as though Dan Quinn is implementing a system that in his second year could be light years better than last year.
Yeah.
And you need this defense to be better. And the turnovers are great, but you can't count on that each and every year to have those kinds of turnovers. But getting stops, not allowing the yards after catch, things like that is essentially what this Cowboys defense is going to need. Getting more pressure, getting more sacks, getting off the field on third downs. Yeah. Those things are important. There were times in the season you just got to look back and keep it real with yourself. I mean, as much as we love Dan Quinn and we talk about how great a coach he is, there were lapses in our defense when times when we couldn't get a stop. We couldn't stop the running game. And that's why you call out, hey, we need a big boy in the middle. Some of these guys that you were just mentioning, I wouldn't have liked them on our team personally because I don't like him because of who he's played for all these years. Yeah. But I just feel as though we need that kind of a presence in the middle. And if we could get a young guy like that, then that would be awesome. But guys, come on now. Let's think about the fact that Neville Gallimore played half of the season coming back from his injury. Yeah. Our defensive line, the longer the season went, you started to see that chemistry, those things started to blend. Yes, bringing Carlos Watkins back is going to be important if we can get him back at the right price, because that's what it's going to be. Mm-hmm. But guys like Osa Odighizuwa that stepped up, Tristan Hill that we saw come in and step up. So, look, when I look at this defense, I think that we have a young, capable group that if the chemistry is right, all of that's there, I think you'll see the production there as well.
And I think they're counting on Malik Hooker on the back end to be more impactful than he was last year coming off the injury where, they were just trying to bring him along after the Achilles injury. Yeah. And he's going to be one of their two starting safeties next to Jaron Kearse. And maybe he's back to where they're hopeful that he can be back to where he was a couple years ago. So that's another spot. But I'm curious to see what they do at defensive end. Are they done there? Do they look to the draft? Or, there was a report over the weekend, maybe JPP's a guy, Jason Pierre-Paul's a guy they would look at. Haven't heard anything there. But maybe they're not done trying to add, replace Randy Gregory's production with a couple different guys. Yeah. And that might be Dorrance Armstrong taking a little bit more of a larger role, but also adding a couple other pieces.
I got a question for you, though, P. I'm sorry, I got to ask this. As far as the contract, the verbiage and all of that, how big, now that the smoke is kind of settled, how much was that really a part of him making that move? Was it really as big as they're trying to make it right now?
In terms of
the last minute, like they're saying that it was last minute verbiage that was put in the contract that they didn't see initially, things like that. That's coming from his camp, not necessarily from my side.
it's my understanding. I know this has been out there, but it's my understanding like this is not unique to Randy Gregory. That verbiage, and what we're talking about is forfeiture clauses. If you're suspended or fined, I don't know if it's suspended or fined, but it's that kind of stuff. It's standard for Cowboys contracts.
Right.
That was their point on it. Apparently, it really ticked off Randy Gregory's camp for whatever reason. Depends on who you talk to, their side of it. The Cowboys don't feel like there was anything that they were doing that was trying to sneak something under the table. And they were very surprised that Randy changed course.
But
I mean,
I guess what really kind of shocked me about that was that you've seen that kind of verbiage that was in Lael Collins' contract. That's why when he got suspended, he had to fork over the $7 million that was in his contract. Then there's other language that was in contracts that didn't have anything necessarily to do with drug tests. But go back to Gerald McCoy when he signed and he had the quad injury and they did the MRI on that. There was verbiage in his contract that said, hey, if you blow said quad, then we're not on the hook for your salary. That happened, and guess what? I mean, so that's, to me, a front office that's doing their due diligence. But on the other side for Randy, man, the one thing that really just kind of, it doesn't tick me off, but I feel bad in this situation because it doesn't seem like it's amicable on both sides that he's leaving. But that the Cowboys would do something like a prenup to cover themselves. And we live in a world where people have prenups. I don't have none. She got it out. Same. But I'm just saying.
Locked in.
If this boat sink, we sing it together, baby.
Doggy paddle.
But
that got dark really quickly.
Yeah, it did, right? But I'm just saying, I understand where the club would cover themselves in the event of that happening because out of 6 seasons, you only play 50 games. And so if there's something that happens that you're not here because if it's drug related, and in all seriousness, everything that he's gone through are serious things that affect everyone in society, and I'm not making light of it, period. But I think for the Cowboys, it was all about covering themselves. And whatever that was probably obviously ticked them off.
No, I hear you. But I go back to it's standard for them. Like Lyle Collins gets suspended last year, and he loses his injury guarantee, which is like $6 million because he got suspended. It was part of the contract. Apparently, it was part of Randy's first contract he signed with the franchise.
Yep.
So I don't know what happened there other than he decided he wanted to go somewhere else, and depending on who you listen to, you talk to, maybe he felt like he needed to have a reason besides I just want to play somewhere else.
From an outsider's standpoint.
And can I just, real quick, I just say, he has a right to do whatever the hell he wants to do.
Exactly right. Yeah.
If he wants to go play somewhere else, he can go do that. But it's weird how it went down.
And and we said this on last week's show, but I'm still happy for Randy Gregory. He finally got the bag. He worked all the way back from this point and, of course, exercised some of those demons along the way to where he's able to be a top 10 free agent in the NFL on the open market and go and sign a deal like that. So I'm happy for the player, the person, Randy Gregory. The way it went down was not ideal, and we talked about that last week as well. Maybe there was a little sense, because from an outsider standpoint, there was that narrative of Randy Gregory owes this franchise for giving him that second chance. There's that narrative that had been kind of tossed out there because of the second chance and the loyalty that this franchise showed. Randy Gregory owes the Cowboys organization that same loyalty. Maybe that was another thing to kind of push him over the edge. It's like, I don't owe you anything. I'm going to go get my money because I'm the one that makes this decision. And if I don't want to play in Dallas, I'm not going to play in Dallas.
I think people are just hurt.
That too,
because they understand. They've been a part of his journey. I think that's what it comes down to. I mean, these guys are free agents, free agents. Guys work they put a lot of hours in, get beat up a whole lot to get that opportunity. When that opportunity presents itself, regardless of what has happened in the past, I know people are really attached to the loyalty in sports, but guess what? Organizations aren't that doggone loyal all the time. Yep. So that's the reality. That might not have been his reality, but that's the reality in this league. Most teams, they care about guys, but not to their dismay, right? They'll get rid of you before they allow their ship to sink, right? Or give up value. So Gregory had opportunity to go either direction. Now, we don't know what his triggers are. We don't know what might have pissed him off. We don't know what his real reason is. Everything is speculation at this point. But I think people are more hurt about the situation after hearing that he was kind of taking shots at Mr. Jones after he left.
Yeah, be specific though. What did he say?
He just told people to check with their owner. That the ownership
tweets that were deleted apparently.
That were deleted. He said what he didn't. He said what he meant, but didn't keep it up. Right. So I mean, I think that's why people are hurt because of that, and it does come from that sense of you owe us.
Team too.
It hurts your football team too, but I mean, the Cowboys are doing a great job of creating value with that money. You know, Rob just laid it out for everybody. Sure. You lost somebody who's a really good player. He's not Aaron Donald. You know, no disrespect. Preach. You know, he's a really good player. He's going to impact the game in some form, but he's not a disruptor like freaking Aaron Donald. You didn't lose a guy that you just can't miss on, right? You didn't lose that caliber of player. There's only a handful of those ever anyways, right? So he's a really good player. He's going to have an impact wherever he's at. But people, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. Understand how this defense is ran. This defense is ran, and the mentality is very much so just like what the mentality is on the offensive side of the ball. We talked about last week how Kellen Moore doesn't believe in a true number one. Guess what? Dan Quinn doesn't really believe in a true number one defensive end either because you can create pressure with your scheme. And as long as you have players that are willing to give balls to the wall effort, you're going to be able to create those mismatches that you want. Ta-da! Guess what? You go out there and you get Fowler. Now, that's somebody you don't have to question their effort, ever. Right? He's going to come screaming off the edge. Now, whether he gets to the quarterback or not, you have to identify him and say, this dude is going to come. He's kind of like a Crosby. He's just going to go mayhem all day long. And that's value right there. Now you got Kurtz back. You got Hooker back, right? Now you can start exploring what Hooker can do with his abilities now. You can start moving guys around. If you go out there and get somebody that can hold it down in the middle and get another linebacker that's dang on good quality, now all of a sudden you're cooking with gas. And I think that's the approach that Dallas is taking right now. We need guys that can create that are versatile and that can create multiple looks on both sides of the ball.
And let's talk about both of those players, Dante Fowler Jr., James Washington, the two guys to this point that the Cowboys have brought in. How do they change each side of the football, and where do they go next? When we come back with more Talkin' Cowboys.
There's nothing as unique as our eyes, which is why Essilor pioneers ways to make lenses as unique as you. Verilux for super sharp vision, Essential Blue for protection, and Crizal for freedom from glare. 3 cutting-edge solutions in a single unique lens. So whatever your needs, insist on Essilor. Visit your local Essilor experts and find the perfect lens for you. See more, do more, Essilor.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
At AT&T, everyone, new and existing customers, get our best deals on every smartphone. Why? Because you deserve it. For turning your living room into your office and your gym. For teaching Grandma how to video call and teaching her again.
It's the button on your left, Nana. Okay, your other left.
It's not complicated. Everyone deserves something new. So AT&T is giving everyone, new and existing customers, our best deals with every unlimited plan on every smartphone, even the latest ones.
AT&T may temporarily slow data speeds if the network is busy. Restrictions and exceptions may apply.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with...
And I'm Jay Novacek, and we're both with...
United Ag and Turf, the official tractor provider of the Dallas Cowboys.
So, if you need a tractor to bale some hay, a mower to cut some grass, or a gator to get some chores done...
Get a John Deere at United Ag and Turf.
And then, let's get to work.
Hey, Jay, that's my line.
Well, not today.
Get to work with a John Deere tractor package that's just right for you and your budget. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Registration now open for the Dallas Cowboys Youth Football Dance Academy and Lil Miss Camps. Save $25 with an early bird pricing when you register by May 9th. Camps are available at AT&T Stadium and Ford Center at the Star in Frisco. Visit DallasCowboys.com/academy to secure your spot today. Welcome back. Second segment here of Talkin' Cowboys. We're alive and well here from the SWBC studios. Heckma Harrison, Isaiah Stanback, Rob Phillips. I'm Kyle Yeomans, and the Cowboys did make a couple of additions. What are you laughing at?
I don't know.
I'm confused. It's just
WrestleMania's next week.
That's what I was thinking.
WrestleMania?
That was
next week. I'm not going because the tickets are maddening.
What?
I wanted to go. You know how much tickets cost for 5 people?
Wow. I don't want to know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What day are you going
It's worth it.
That's what happens when you have kids, Kyle.
Are you going on the second or third?
See, Kyle,
it's
right now,
worth going to buy SeatGeek tickets.
No, for sure. I
for
don't
WWE.
I don't disagree. But
WrestleMania.
The way that my pay stubs are here at DallasCowboys.com.
You need to talk to some people.
I do need to talk to some people.
You need to go upstairs after this and go talk to.
You can send an email.
For real. Bro.
My kids are like, "Are we going?" My daughter's like, "No, it costs too much." I'm like,
"Oh,
that's facts. That's facts. You are 10 years old.
But it's worth it.
It's
though.
gonna be
worth it. I'm looking at Sunday. I'm looking at
third.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I just got Saturday tickets.
You know who's coming on? You know who's going to be there
Saturday
Saturday, right?
tickets.
Stone freaking Cold is going to be there Saturday.
Tickets, baby!
Stone Cold.
He's going to open up one last can.
Yep. Him and Kevin Owens are having a.
What do you know about Sunday?
meeting.
You know something. You know something.
No,
I'll talk to you later. No. It's all good.
All right.
I'll talk to you later. You know something.
Let's talk about James Washington.
Talk to Take.
And what he brings.
He's not. Yeah, he's not.
What he brings to the table. James Washington added from the Steelers as an an unrestricted free agent.
Good pickup.
You were talking about him a little bit, just kind of very briefly. I'll let you kind of run down. What do you see in Washington?
Consistency. I like him. I like him because of the fact he's versatile. If you're going to get rid of Amari Cooper and you're going to buy into the fact that you don't need a true number one, regardless of what they might say about CD and his abilities, they are going with people who are interchangeable. There's no true X, F, or Z in this offense anymore. There isn't. There isn't anybody that you can just say, hey, this guy's going to be lined up here every single time. James Washington can be on the outside. He can be in the slot. He can be on the opposite end. It doesn't matter where you put these guys. All 3 of these quote-unquote starting receivers now between Gallup, CD, and Washington, these guys can be anywhere on the field. And I think that's what Kellen Moore was going towards when he pretty much disposed of Coop.
Amari.
Yeah, so I like the pick just because he's consistent, he's explosive. He's a what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, man. He's an every down receiver. In terms of just value, he's going to be where you need to be. I kind of look at him in the same context as Schultz. Like he's going to be where you need him to be, but he's a lot more explosive.
He's never sniffed 1,000 yards receiving, but he's also had guys in front of him all the time. You look at like the Deontay Johnson over the last couple of years, Chase Claypool, Juju Smith-Schuster.
Jesus, let's not talk about where he went.
They've had guys. Yeah, he went to Kansas City. They've had guys in front of him. Plus, he's kind of had a dead-armed quarterback for the last 4 seasons, if we're being real, with Ben Roethlisberger, who can't throw it 15 yards down the field.
He's retired.
I love Ben Roethlisberger. He was a great player.
Wow.
He's a phenomenal player, but he also couldn't throw the football the last couple of years, and that's a fact. But is there any concern about his lack of production?
Nope.
Even with all of those factors around there? Because you're not expecting him to be in the running with Michael Gallup and CeeDee Lamb. He's that interchangeable guy who kind of provides a change-up for this offense.
Unfortunately, I've watched a lot of Steeler football because of family ties.
Yeah, you've got a pretty good reason to do so.
So, look, James Washington is I'm going to take this out of the page of the book of Mickey Spagnola, okay, who would title him as a bridge player. If the Cowboys go into the draft and get something better, then he may not even. We don't know if he even makes the roster.
Wow.
The same with Dante Fowler. If there's something better that they have in the draft, or they're able to get something better in free agency, these guys may be camp casualties. One of the things that I see in James Washington is, although he's had those great players in front of him, he's taken some plays off. Okay, but I think in this system, you're not going to demand anything from him, so his ability to be a possession receiver will be there. The question is, with everything that we've seen with CD and Mike G, will they take advantage of his skill set? And that is particularly as a possession receiver. You look at him, and I believe it's 2020, he had 19 first downs, and in 2019, 31 first downs. So that just tells you where he is as far as keeping the chains moving. And that's exactly what we have needed. We talk about those slump areas for Dak. He needs a receiver that can do the dirty work, get in there in between those double teams, and not afraid to go over the middle and take those shots.
And he's solid. He's 5'11", 215.
Yeah.
He's not a skinny dude.
No.
This dude's solid, so he's going to be able to sit in there in those gaps and take those hits.
That's a great point brought up by Heckma in the first down discrepancies back and forth, because that shows that in his best season, the only year where he had over 700 yards receiving, he had an underneath game. He had that game where you could kind of fit him in a hole and just throw it to him, and it's a first down. Kind of somewhat what Dalton Schultz did throughout the season this past year. He's been a deep threat, Washington has, for the majority of his career. But if he can put together the deep threat and intermingle an underneath game, then yeah, he could certainly be a tool for this offense. But it doesn't mean he's going to stick around. I'm right there. I think Heckma has it spot on. They could still take a receiver second round in the draft, second or third round, and feel great about it.
It starts over Washington.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, easy money.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I totally agree with that. I think he's on the team though.
I don't know if he's off the team either.
Because Michael Gallup may or may not be ready for week one. He certainly, I think.
Great point.
Watch his workload in training camp. I mean, they need wide receivers on this team.
They need bodies.
Noah Brown's on the back end of the roster as usual, special teams guy. Simi Mafoko is going to be fighting to get on this roster again. Fahoko?
Okay.
Did I say something else?
No, nope.
Sorry, allergies.
Me too.
Bad today. I am a little curious why James couldn't get on the field enough in Pittsburgh, though.
They were stacked.
They are. Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson. I mean, they've got guys, but he was a second-round pick. I'm just, it was weird. Like I think he had averaged like 30 snaps a game last season. His playtime actually dipped last season.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm saying. And hey, I got excited about HaHa Clinton Dix. He didn't make it out of camp.
I didn't. No,
I'm just saying I did. I was thinking about his safety.
I like James Washington. I really like him, and I think you guys might be overlooking his value to this team.
I hope you're right.
And I look at it from the context of how Kellen Moore wants to use these guys in this offense. It's not even about each individual's ability of what they can do. It's about how are they going to be utilized. Dalton Schultz is an $11 million man right now because of how they're utilizing him in this offense.
Yeah.
He's not running by anybody. He's not routing anybody up. He's finding the gaps.
Yeah.
He's finding the gaps, and he's being consistent. He's $11 million man now, right? James Washington was buried between three dogs at receiver. Three dogs, not just one. Three.
He was a second-round pick, though. Rob said that a second ago. He was 60th overall.
I hear you.
If you're drafted in that spot, you're expected to be a dog in your own
you
right.
had Juju, Claypool, and Deontay Johnson in front of you. Like, those are dudes. Right?
So,
and you had a receiver. I mean, you had a quarterback who wasn't able to throw the ball. You had to lean on your running game, right? Like, it wasn't the best necessarily. I'm not making
sounds eerily familiar.
I'm not making excuses. All I'm saying is what he does well will be highlighted in this particular offense. I'm not saying he's going to be a 1,000-yard dude or anything like that, but he will move the chains.
Maybe he turns out to be what Martellus Bennett was here in like 2008. They kind of wasted a draft pick on Martellus Bennett because they didn't have snaps for him after they took him in the second round. And maybe, he can break out a little bit. That's why, in addition to being from this area, he wants an opportunity. He reports that last year he wanted to trade because he wanted to play. So he's going to have a chance, I think. What will help him is and Isaiah kind of spoke to this a minute ago, if he can move around a little bit and play in the slot, because he was primarily an outside receiver in Pittsburgh.
One of the final things, and I think he will be interchangeable. I think he'll play the slot quite a bit, actually.
And that's Mike McCarthy has established that from the moment he got here. I want my receivers to play everywhere.
Yeah. One final point on James Washington before we move on to Fowler Jr. again, but You mentioned those receivers and having to be dogs, and Claypool and Juju Smith-Schuster, Deontay Johnson. All three of those guys were drafted after where James Washington was drafted in 2018. I mean,
I hear you. I'm not a big position in terms of where you get drafted at.
That's true. But I'm just saying,
there's value there. I understand that, but it's all about how teams are utilized.
Those guys fit into that system, and those guys elevated. The big question mark is why?
Because they're huge, and that's what they were going for.
Deontay Johnson's 5'10", bro.
Yeah, but he freaking blazing speed.
That's what Washington was supposed to be.
He's a 4.5 guy.
That's okay.
So I'm saying, I hear you, but he's a 4 or 5 guy. Like their whole psychology was, we're gonna get 2 freaking blazing receivers and Juju and Deontay Johnson, and we're going to get a freaking tight end at receiver position in Claypool. Yeah. And that's what they went with. That's what was their scheme. They went to the old school, Roy Williams, T.O., Calvin Johnson. They were trying to reinvent that whole deal. And it may or may not work out depending on who's throwing the ball to them, but that's what they were going for, jump balls. They weren't focused on little guys like him. Yeah. He's a value guy. Dallas doesn't want a big-time receiver. They want value guys, and that's what they just got.
Who are you sorry, go for it.
No, I was just going to say, let's not act like we hadn't seen receivers or running backs go to a certain system and it worked for
and ball out.
Yeah. And we want for Washington to come here and this be the system that works. We saw it work for Said, who went to Miami, got a bigger deal because he was in a system that fit his play style. Sure. This could be something that happens for him. We hadn't seen a lot of Simi Fehoko or other guys that are in that receiver room, but they could possibly emerge as well. I don't want to leave any of those guys out because the wide receiver 3 is wide open, and it's going to go to whoever wants to take it. I don't want to just say, James Washington, you're going to walk in here and this is going to be guaranteed. There's a lot of show and prove still to be there when you say he hadn't sniffed 1,000 yards. We see him as a possession receiver. We look at the touchdowns. Still, those numbers are lacking. And, by the way, he's going to be in between two guys that you think are going to be your dogs on offense.
Just because baseball's back, I'm throwing in a baseball reference. If you're going up against a 300 hitter with 20 home runs and 100 RBIs, you're not going to throw him changeups every single time. You throw him a fastball, and then you throw him a changeup to keep him off balance. And that's exactly what James Washington is. He's that changeup that is a little bit different than CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup, but it's not going to be the main factor. No. He's not going to be that out pitch.
I just like his versatility. That's all. And I hope we remember this conversation because I think he's going to be very valuable.
You're going to come back
and
be smoking on it.
You know I am.
I
because the reason the reason being is dang, I just blanked out. But no, you're good. I mean, you guys will see. I mean, I think you guys really will because you can get your career revived.
Sure.
You can get your career revived. That second round pick that you're talking about, sometimes guys just need the confidence.
Look at the
guy. Players just lose confidence sometimes because of the system or because they feel like I'm never going to get elevated because those guys are in that position. That's politics of NFL. Sorry, people. Sure. You get buried beneath some guys, and guess what? Your desire, your drive, all that stuff starts lacking, right? You kind of just say, I'm here. I'm present, right? And then all of a sudden you get into a new situation, and it's, here we go. You know what I'm saying? It happened to me when I was here in Dallas. Like, injury after injury, and I was like, I'm never going to get up there. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to keep working hard. Then I got released, and I went to New England. I was like, all right, new start. Let's go. And all of a sudden, now I'm out there starting. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't start here, but I went to New England and was starting. So it just depends on your situation and how teams value you.
And he's a guy who's dreamt of being in this position. He's dreamt of being a part of this organization. He grew up a Cowboys fan. He's a Texas product. Maybe this is that fresh start. And you're speaking of resurrecting careers and jump-starting careers. Look at the guy we started the show with, and we were excited about re-signing, and that's J-Ron Kearse. That's exactly a great example of how it could work, and hopefully it does work for James Washington. I want you puffing that chest out as you walk back in.
Percolating pectorals, baby.
Getting right back into it. Who are you more excited about? Are you more excited about Washington or about Dante Fowler Jr. and what he could bring to that defense?
Washington.
Why not Fowler?
I like Fowler. I like Fowler a lot. I think he's going to be a guy that you could throw in there for a changeup. I think he's a high-effort guy. He can get low. He can get underneath the offensive tackles. I don't see him as being dominant, but I see him as being a disruptor. And that's what this defense is all about. Fast. We talked about this forever, right? Fast, physical. Even when Quinn got hired, I told y'all that's what it's going to be. He was looking for fast, physical, selfless individuals who are going to lay it all on the line and say, hey, I need you to take this left shoulder of Heckma and run through that thing full speed so that you can free up this guy. That's what he is. And that's what he's going to do. And if you allow him to get some confidence, then guess what? We've seen what he's done in the past.
Yep.
I like Fowler more. I mean, I like the Washington signing because I think it like we talked about, it kind of covers themselves. And he's a guy. Washington's a guy they brought in before the draft. They really liked him coming out. So there's kind of equity with the scouting department. But Fowler's a Dan Quinn guy, and I guess I just trust Dan Quinn knows what he sees, and he has a vision for players. And it's been that way with Fowler in 3 spots now. It was in college. He coached him for a year in college, Atlanta, and now here. And I just think he's going to know exactly what this guy can bring to my defense and help recreate those 6 sacks that Gregory had last year.
Yeah, I'm hoping for the same, P. And I just feel as though Cooper's absence now has left a meteoric-sized hole in our wide receiver room. And I don't know if one guy can fill it. No. You know, I think you're going to have to do a by committee.
They don't want it. They don't want one guy to fill it.
And
If you wanted a guy to fill it, you would move up in the draft and go get a guy. Like I don't even think you even wait for 24.
I really am waiting to see how they do this. I really am serious. I want to see Kellen Moore's magic in that bag. How deep is that satchel? Because he's going to have to go all the way down to the crumbs, get a peppermint out that bag.
The sticky one?
Yes, to improve this offensive. Because, look, man, what we lost, I'm just saying, from the production side, the route running side, that is going to be big, all right? But on the defensive side, I think, look, Randy Gregory's numbers, a lot of people now they've gotten to, he only had 6, sacks. Randy was a little bit more than that.
I know. I know.
His impact and just the way that offensive line had to, offenses had to account for where 94 was. They couldn't just leave him one-on-one. Look, Dante Fowler, I've watched a lot of him over the years. I think in the playoff game that we had against him, he showed out in that one as well. But look, he hadn't had a double-digit sack year since 2019. And so to me, that says, is he a guy that's on the decline? That's why I say, hey, is he going to make it through camp? Will he be a camp casualty? I want to see. I've seen guys like Jerron Kearse that last year, this time, we were not excited about that pick. I mean, we're looking at a guy from Detroit and Minnesota that was just
we said, special teams guy.
Special teams guy. We needed an ace, a guy that could come in, and then he ended up being Mr. Everything for us. I would love for Dante Fowler Jr. to be exactly that. But he's just going to be what he's going to be is a rotational player, and we know it.
I think when we'll see if they add anybody else. But I think you're also counting on Dorrance Armstrong to take a step forward, not to be Randy Gregory, but take a step forward. And then again, it's the sum of those guys creating that production.
Yeah, I think Armstrong's probably going to be your starter right this second, and then Fowler Jr. would be the quick fill in there, and then a quick rotation back and forth.
Situational pass.
He's a change of pace guy.
Well, and you mentioned on the back end of the last 2 years, he's been banged up. He hasn't been 100% healthy. He hasn't been in a defense that's allowed him to be successful, if we're being completely honest. That Atlanta defense, I mean, we saw it twice. The Cowboys have put up 40-plus points on them.
They were one
of
the worst, even when Quinn was there.
They were terrible. That's part of the reason why Quinn's here is because of how bad they were when that defense was happening there. Maybe that wasn't the right situation. Last time he was in a decent situation with a decent defense, He went ham in Los Angeles and was a big-time player, one of the league leaders in sacks for the Rams. Maybe that's something that happens here. Ooh. It's not the expectation, though.
It's the Aaron Donald. The Aaron Donald effect is a mother, boy.
You saying having a big man in the middle?
Oh man, when you got him, Aaron Donald just make everything seem so much better from the secondary on. Yep. So I mean, maybe that was the byproduct of it, but I think also him being on the field with Micah is going to change his game.
It could be.
Yeah,
absolutely. And he's only 27. He's not an old player. He's not like on the back end of his career. He'll turn 28 in August. There's still plenty of time for him to really see an uptick.
The bazooka's going to come into Oxnard 280.
280?
Muscle.
No.
Like
put on the right way.
No. 280 edge. No. We put him down. Come on now. We got to give it up. We got to give it up. I know you don't want to hear it. He at Nick and Sam's right now eating truffles. Let's go.
No, I want to hear your thought process on this. I want to know, are you joking?
I could go for some Nick and
So are you full-time on edge rusher Micah Parsons bandwagon?
Look, guys, I mean, come on. You know.
We don't have enough time for this.
We don't.
No, let's take a break, and then we're going to come back. We are going to debate this again on Talking Cowboys right after this break.
New Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. You deserve it.
I do deserve that.
You deserve decadent flavor without sugar, and a day at the beach without sand getting everywhere, and a relaxing bath that your children don't interrupt.
I deserve all that?
It's really just a visual metaphor for Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. Everything you want, nothing you don't.
A visual metaphor on the radio. I do deserve that.
Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. The zero you deserve is finally here.
At AT&T, everyone, new and existing customers, get our best deals on every smartphone. Why? Because you deserve it. For turning your living room into your office and your gym. For teaching grandma how to video call. And teaching her again.
It's the button on your left, Nana. Okay, your other left.
It's not complicated. Everyone deserves something new. So AT&T is giving everyone, new and existing customers, our best deals with every unlimited plan on every smartphone, even the latest ones.
AT&T may temporarily slow data speeds if the network is busy. Restrictions and exceptions may apply.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. where we are all defined by one single thing, the Star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way. Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man's Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at stetson.com/cowboys.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Whether you're watching from home or you're cheering in the stands with Essilor lenses, you can see every exciting play. Book an appointment at your local Essilor experts and see what Essilor can do for you. See more, do more Essilor on Talkin' Cowboys, presented by Tostitos. Welcome back in, final segment. What a weekly show this has become. It's become off the rails, just hit a little bit of everything.
When do we get back to every day?
Like
training camp?
After training camp?
Yeah.
Speed this up, man.
I'm good. Give me a little bit of time.
I'm okay.
What?
I'm all right.
See, you see that? You said it's been in the game for a minute.
Yeah, that's what happened. That's what happened when they got offices, man.
Give me a little bit of time.
Caked up.
I can't get to watch.
Let me get through the draft.
I can't do it.
Let me get through the draft.
Caked up.
Let me hang
That's
out
all
for a
right.
little bit.
It's all right, man. You know, Heckman and I just sit
And
here
then
and
we'll be
wait.
raring to
Heckman
go.
and I just sit here and wait for the the rundowns to come once a week. And, we just
all
wait for the
good,
next opportunity to speak.
Oh, I see what you're referencing now. I see what you're.
Must be nice, man.
I appreciate your rundowns, though.
Thanks, man.
I've been on shows where you sit down and say, "What do you guys want to talk about today?" I don't know.
Hey,
We've done that a couple times.
we're organized
It
here.
happens. I
Organized
try and
crew
give
Heck's
a little
great
bit of
too.
a roadmap.
Yeah.
Heck's rundowns are the most
detailed,
out of the world excited rundown. Like, there's a lot of capital letters. I think there's probably a broken exclamation point here and there.
A broken one?
I think because it just sticks. There's 14 of them together.
You know what?
Pretty energized.
I'm bad about my exclamation points. I've been told about it, but I don't care. I live my life.
Hey,
my life is an exclamation
quarter
point.
mile at a time.
You're 28 now. You can do whatever the hell you want.
understand? And that's why I have to show up and show out. That's why I put it all in bold letters, sir.
Well, guess what? You'll get the host next week.
Let's go.
Love it.
So I am gone. I'm out of here.
Where are you at?
New York. Going to New York, seeing the fiance's fam, meeting them for the first time. So
That's
that'll be
awesome.
fun. I've
First
never been
time?
up there. The extended family. She has grandparents and aunts and stuff up there.
Nice.
That's the first time.
Why do you sound worried?
No.
Well, you skipped the step.
Am I okay? No, not the close family. It's her extended
Okay.
family that's up
Oh,
there.
that'll be fun.
She's from Staten Island, so
Nice.
let's talk a little bit about Lyle Collins. He is no longer with the Dallas Cowboys. Actually, recently signed a deal with the Cincinnati Bengals, reigning champions out of the AFC.
The bodyguard.
Bodyguard of Joe Burrow now.
Say that fast.
Yeah, man, it's kind of tough to say. And it's tough to see Lael leave, but I get the sense that it's not as disappointing as some of the other departures that we've seen throughout the offseason. And why is that, Rob?
I don't know. I don't know if it is less disappointing to the fans. I mean, here's my thing. We just talked about kind of their roadmap for free agency, and they do what they've always done. They look for opportunistic signings, and they try to re-sign their own guys, and that's what they do. And I think we've talked about some of the things they've done. I think it makes sense, but you throw Amari Cooper's trade and Lyle Collins leaving on top of it, and that's where I think fans have a hard time, because it's now you've added 2 more needs.
Where you already had a need.
Right. Yeah. Right. And that's I know why they moved on. I mean, it's $10 million that you're saving, and they can use that.
It doesn't save a whole lot next year, right, though? Only 2 again next year that they save?
But for 10
this year, that's a lot.
That alone can help pay for your draft class contract.
Sure.
And if he wasn't going to be the right tackle, and if they didn't think he could play left guard, then I get it. But now you need a backup tackle. And you need, on top of, we just talked about wide receiver, they've got to find a way to replace Amari's production. Those two changes on top of what they always do in free agency, to me, is where I think I get what they're doing, but is the roster going to be as deep on paper, as talented on paper? That's going to be the question.
Yeah.
But Terrence Steele they decided he was going to be the guy at right tackle, bottom line.
And my biggest thing is, why would you not keep depth at offensive tackle? There's got to be something behind the scenes there with Lael, that maybe it's the injury, the hip issue. Maybe he's not playing the same way. There are rumblings that he can't bend the same way and play that guard spot, or even, of course, play the tackle spot that he was very much so used to. If that's the case, then maybe I feel a little bit better about moving on. But at the same time, I would rather have Terrence Steele as your starter, like they were planning on doing regardless, and then still have a fallback option in Lyle Collins, and that's not there anymore. There's no more safety net at the tackle spot. You go from Terrence Steele now to probably Josh Ball. Is that your next tackle that's available?
He's going to have to be, to compete for that job. Yeah, and that was kind of the hope, that he could be a swing tackle candidate, or maybe the guy as a rookie, and then he got hurt.
Yeah. I don't think tackle is out of the question at pick number 24 either. I think there's a chance that
tackle.
Yeah, offensive tackle.
Because, man, they've got a great
wide
open hole at left guard right now.
Yeah, but I don't think you should rule out tackle as well. Okay. I think offensive line in general, if you had to put odds on a player being selected at 24, I think offensive line across the board is probably all wide open.
I'm with you there.
How many picks do we have?
A lot.
9.
Yeah.
They got 2 compensatory. They have 4 fifth-round draft picks right now. 2 compensatory, 1 from the Amari.
If we're just going to call this an unceremonious departure, then let it be what it is. He got unseated by a try-hard guy, a guy that came in and busted his butt and made it happen. And the Cowboys are not going to go for a $10 million safety net. Just call it what it is.
Yeah.
And maybe there were some other things coming back from the labrum injury and some other off-the-field things that maybe we don't know about. But, rubber hit road, and they had to make a decision on him, and they didn't feel like he was a guy that could be a part of their future. But let's just talk about the optics for Lael Collins, because he was a guy that not only had some, drug test issues, but he's a guy that tried to pay the drug tester off. So that's what that was all about. Yeah. And I'm sorry, when it comes down to IQ testing right there, that is probably, dipping low when you do something like that. And for the Cowboys organization that has historically, had the, cloud over them that they will bring bad boys in. This just is one that they're trying to get from under. And look, Lael Collins as a player, obviously with a lot of promise. We got him because he fell out of the draft because of something off the field. And then he comes in, and then we're still having issues with him. You think about guys like him, you think about guys like Randy, and you say, look, you guys should be, model citizens in the community and on the field. But, man, sometimes, guys don't change who they are. And so, look, in this situation, I wish Lael Collins all the best. He is a big-time tackle who can play big if he wants to play. And I just think it just came down to that want to that the coaches didn't see.
Anything to add there?
I got nothing to add. He gone.
He's gone. And I think I have – sure, there's problems in its own right with the whole drug testing situation and that whole story that came out this past year. I honestly have more of a reserve, or at least more frustration over the fact that he showed up to the 2020 training camp after the pandemic kind of hit, and he was just completely out of shape. After a 2019 season where he had finally kind of risen to the challenge and taken that right tackle spot and ultimately became that starter at the position, and then you turn around and he's not ready for training camp, and then he's overweight and he's not in shape, and then he gets hurt, and of course everything from there just kind of snowballed. That's where I had the biggest problem along the way with Lyle Collins.
Well, yeah, availability, right? And then last year, Heck touched on the suspension, and you're talking about a new coaching staff coming in that doesn't have, the history that Jason Garrett had this different history with Lyle Collins. I think Lyle's a great guy. And I think the organization really loved Lyle, but It's part salary. It's $10 million as opposed to a guy who's still on a rookie free agent contract, so.
You can't pay $10 million for somebody that you don't know is going to be your starter.
No, and you're right. And I mentioned, like, they have a need there.
That's a good point.
You can't have $10 million for a backup tackle potentially. I get it. But, again, they've got holes on the line right now. I think you're right. I think the draft is probably what we're turning to here.
Yeah, I think you're probably going to see that offensive line, first round, wide receiver, second round. This could all change, and it depends on what happens draft day specifically. But there's a lot of different ways you could go. Now, going back to the defensive line talk, and we talked a lot about the edge, and Isaiah mentioned defensive tackle early on.
Yes.
I was looking at a list of free agents. There really wasn't that big name, big ticket free agent defensive tackle that was on the board. I mean, Sebastian Joseph Day, Tim Settle. I mean, these are not names that are going to jump off the page regardless. DJ Jones is probably the highest rated guy, and he signed for 3 years, $30 million, so $10 a year for him. They didn't really have that big ticket guy. So would you be okay drafting a true nose tackle to throw in that rotation with Venosa, Digizua, Neville Gallimore? Or do you feel good about where you're at there, even without adding something this off?
I don't feel good, and I would not draft another defensive tackle / unique nose tackle.
What if he's a true nose? That's kind of why I said that. You're not going to want to draft a 3-tech.
I just think you have so many young guys in there.
Let them blossom.
Yeah, I think
Quinn Bohanna.
Yeah, I think you need a bet. If you're going to make that move, I think that big man Jenkins was the way to go, and he's gone. If you were going to make a big splash at that was it.
That was the one.
That was the one, and he gone. So now you got to roll with what you have, and hopefully you get Urban back.
Well, I just hope that they don't go the route that they went in 2020. With the Dante Poe, Everson Griffin, Gerald McCoy.
Man, you talk about free agent misses. You were talking about Clinton.
No,
Dante Poe was one of those. Yeah.
I mean, but that's what a lot of this starts to sound like in the offseason when guys put a wish list together on who they want. And I go back to, well, damn, did we learn anything from Dante Poe and Everson Griffin? I mean, I understand these are guys that at their position when they were playing at a high level at some point, but gravity took over and they were not the players that we thought.
And that honestly, that's why this strategy can be flawed. Yeah. Because you're signing, this is what they do, right? It's 1-2 year deals on guys that
maybe contribute.
Yeah, have done things in the league, but are they going to continue doing those things? And I think there is less margin for error sometimes with guys that are not in that first wave. But again, too, you can look at it the other way. Von Miller gets a huge contract for his age in Buffalo, and maybe
6 years, 120.
Yeah, and maybe in 3 years that's not looking so good either. So I think there's a balance in how you do it.
I think they had a huge opportunity. Part of it is still there. My wish list was Jenkins and Wagner. I think if they would have grabbed those two,
still need a linebacker.
But how much? I was reading this right. I think we're 26 under the cap. How much you need for a draft?
10-ish. Yeah.
So you still have an opportunity to sign somebody for about 15.
Yeah, you can make space.
15 a year. Yeah, you could do that. But you only have 56 guys under contract right now, and normally you need a lot more than that.
So nobody.
Well, they're 9 draft picks and 12, 15 free agents.
How much does that number come up to?
Rookie free agents, huh?
How much does that number come up to normally? 80?
Is it
90?
Oh, it's a 90-man
90-man, that's right.
Yeah.
So, and you got a long way to go there. And if you're going to sign everybody and find space for everybody.
You still need a kicker. You still need a punter.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
It's a lot. It's a lot still to be desired. But I go back to what I've been saying. I'm gonna say this all the way till training camp. It's who's getting on the bus with Micah.
Woo!
I don't care about nothing else. Give me 10 guys to get on the bus with Micah. That's it. I mean, we know what we have in the bazooka, and if anything is traveling, we taking the big case with us.
Why is Dak not the one driving the bus?
No. I'm talking about for the defense specifically.
Oh, okay. No. I thought you were talking about in general. I was just wondering.
No.
What about the offense? Who's driving the bus on offense?
Oh, Rain Dakota Prescott.
Okay, just making sure.
No question about that.
Who's coming with him?
That's a good question.
That
Who's
might be the bigger
bus?
question now.
Who getting on the bus? CD's on the bus.
CD's on the bus. Zach Martin's on the bus.
Hey,
Michael Gallup's on that bus.
It's a lot of guys.
Tyron Smith's still on the bus.
He's there for now. Yeah. Lot going on there.
Okay.
What?
Zeke still on
saying
the
for
bus.
the next couple of years.
Okay,
he's there.
cool. I'm
not
sorry.
saying
I
like
thought-
they're not going to cut
I
Tyron
thought you about to
Smith.
newsflash something right here on
Breaking news.
TCT. Let's go. No, man.
Oh, what a way to end the show. Yeah, no, I'm not jumping out of that cake. Not just yet, but we'll talk about it maybe a couple years down the line. That's going to do it for us here on Talking Cowboys. Glad you've been with us here over the last hour. We will be back next Tuesday as we continue to wrap up free agency and talk about what's going on. Got to wait a week.
We have to wait a week.
Got to wait a week.
They get to see each other and talk.
Yeah. It's all good.
It's all good, man.
Me and Rob are about to have lunch together.
okay.
It's going to be
It's all
great.
good,
Yeah.
No, I'm
For
gonna
Chris
go
Beam,
upstairs.
Rob Phillips. Well, I just got
Turkey
rejected.
sandwich.
Isaiah Standback, Heckma Harrison. I'm Kyle Yeomans. I'm eating alone today. We'll see you next week on Talking Cowboys.
The milk's gone bad.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!